Hey there, welcome to the Astro Psyche. Today we are going to talk about the sun in Leo. And so I wanted to share with you, sort of dissect and discuss what it means to have the sun in Leo in astrology. And we're also going to talk about the sun's path through Leo at this particular time in 2023. My name is Shauna McGrath. I'm a psychotherapist and astrologer, and I'm really looking forward to getting into the sun in Leo with you. So the sun will be in Leo from July 22nd through August 23rd of 2023. And so the sun is always in a sign for about a month. But what do we mean when we talk about the sun? This is when we know, if we're born during the sign of Leo, we say we're a Leo, etc. So happy birthday if you are a Leo. And the sun has so much more symbolism. The sun is a symbol of our ego, our consciousness, our conscious awareness. So the part of us, the ego is the part of us that feels like a unique individual observer. The ego is the part of us that says, this is me, this is you. And it's the part of our psyche, the part of our mind, our soul, our spirit that has this unique experience where we are aware of it. Now, of course, we also have experiences that are unconscious, that we are unaware of, and that's more in the realm of the moon. And maybe if we're going to bring in outer planets, Neptune, Pluto, even Uranus, etc. So in contrast, the sun is what we are aware of. It's what we claim in ourselves and said, this, when we say, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is the kind of person that I am. The sun is also connected to our sense of vitality, and vitality, not necessarily in the, sometimes it's connected to physical vitality, but it's more like that spiritual vitality, that part of us that gets excited about something and passionate about something. And that maybe you've had this experience where you can be tired, but still really energized when you experience or do an activity that you enjoy, that brings you a sense of inner joy and inner satisfaction. So this is that part of you is the sun. The sun is also connected to career and success and leadership, shining bright and being in a role where you have a role of leadership or management, or where other people look to you either in admiration or to help them to organize. The sun is also associated with paternal figures. So this can be paternal figures in your early life. It can also be paternal figures in your life now, figures that maybe you see as a mentor, or figures that, it can even be figures who are bosses and someone that has some sort of overseeing the work that you do. And it's also that part in us as well, the inner authority, the inner paternal figures that we have internalized as a part of us, and how we see people of power, how we feel about power and leadership, whether we, what it means to us to feel powerful. These are all symbols of the sun. And from a psychological standpoint, so we'll go back to the sun being a sign of the ego. And we need an ego to function, right? So thank you, sun, and thank you, ego, for helping us to know who we are and to establish ourselves in the world. So the sun in our birth chart represents the way that we function in our ability to have a sense of healthy self-esteem and to feel confidence as well, to feel an ability of confidence and surety and conviction, even as we move through the world. Now, the challenging piece of this is that the ego is also related to where maybe if we don't feel like we have a strong sense of self, or we don't have a strong sense of self-esteem, that can look like bolstering or feeding your sense of self, your self-esteem, through external affirmation. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we all do that to a certain extent. And the challenging side of the sun is that if we do this in excess, if we excessively solely define our self-esteem based on affirmation from the outside, and that can look like a variety of different things. That can be feeling like you have your sense of self and your purpose and self-esteem through the work that you do, or through being a parent, or through being a grandparent, or through your appearance, or through having a certain kind of lifestyle, or through receiving affirmation from other people in your life. And so again, like all of this to say that I want to be clear that we all do this in varying different ways. And it becomes challenging for us when that is the sole factor on which we gain our sense of self, our sense of self-esteem. And this really, it's problematic because the external always changes, and that's not something that's stable. That's a stable foundation. And so I share that with you because as the sun is moving through this part of Leo, the sun is in its rulership, where it's able to really do the best work that it can do as the sun. And so we get to look at our experience of self-esteem. Where do we get our self-esteem from? When do we feel strong and vibrant? When do we feel like we're just like, yes, like this is it and this is me? And then where do we feel feelings of insecurity, shame, or guilt? Or where do we feel those feelings of like, I can't do this right, or I suck, or this is like that feeling of badness. This is connected into self-worth and self-esteem. And I wanted to make this video at this time because we have a strong emphasis around self-esteem and self-worth coming up this summer because of the sun moving through Leo, of course. And then we also have Venus moving retrograde in the sign of Leo. Venus will station retrograde on July 22nd, the same day that the sun moves into Leo. So I thought that was really interesting. And whenever there's sort of synchronicities like that, we always want to pay attention and notice what happens, notice what we're feeling, and use this as an opportunity to connect into the symbolism of the planet. So in this case, it means like looking at where we get our sense of self and how we define ourselves, and how we know who we are in the world. And some of those are going to be changeable, like a vocation, and some of them are going to be going to feel more constant. But even then, you know, sometimes, not sometimes, but oftentimes we change over the course of our lifetime. And so the more that we can be aware, sun is really about awareness and consciousness, the more that we can be aware of how we are defining ourselves, that in itself actually creates a strengthening of the self-esteem, a strengthening of self-worth. So some things to think about. And I want to share with you some of the transits that the sun is making as it moves through the sign of Leo, because this is a part of the experience as well. And so again, we're thinking about sun as awareness and consciousness, in that the transits that the sun is making this month are things that we can bring further into consciousness and to become more aware of. in ourselves. So I'm going to talk about the lunar cycles first. So we're having a full moon in Aquarius on August 1st. And so I thought that I would share that with you here in the chart. Okay. So we're gonna move it along, forward, forward, forward. So we get to where, August 1st. So Sun is here in Leo and Venus is here in Leo as well. We know it's retrograde because it's the numbers here are red. And then a full moon is always when the moon is opposite the sun. So we have the full moon here in Aquarius. And so full moons are in opposition. There's a tension of the opposites. And Aquarius is about unique individual expression. It's about going against the grain. It's about reinventing. It's about not settling for going in with what everyone else is doing. It's about the opposite of that. It's about really having your unique individual expression, and at the same time being able to feel a part of the community even when you are being your own unique individual self. Now, again, we're also being mindful that Venus retrograde is still a part of this equation. So this is really thinking about and being introspective around relationships, who it is that we are in relationship, what kind of roles we assume in relationship, and any patterns that we've been noticing that come up that maybe that are challenging or that we don't like, and you kind of like what's going on there. And of course, Venus retrograde and this lunar cycle is connected to self-esteem, self-worth, how we get our value. This can often be connected to finances as well, because we're talking about Venus retrograde. So when we have this full moon here, a great opportunity to become more aware, and usually emotions are very heightened during the full moon. So just, notice what you notice and notice what comes up. Full moon is a great time to slow things down and to do any kind of mindfulness practices to help in that process of slowing things down. Okay, so we're going to go forward again to the new moon in Leo. So we're going forward here. Oh, went too far there. Okay, so new moon in Leo is August 16th. Might be 15th or 16th, depending on where you are in the world. And so this is, so again, like this is why Venus is so connected to this storyline, because we have Venus right here, really close to the sun and the moon as they move toward their conjunction here. So when we have a new moon, it's a time of planting new seeds, of initiating something new, but it's not like the new thing is here already. It's like the insemination, the seed is planted. There has been something that has been fertilized and will continue to grow over the course of the next month or even the next 6 months. So a new planting, something new coming in here around themes of Leo, around themes of like self-expression and passion, and also, again, like going back to the sun, sense of self-worth and self-value, and what makes you feel like you have something valuable and unique to offer through your presence in the world. The sun and Leo are really about bringing an offering through the mere presence of you. Not that like you need to do anything or produce anything. It's just that your presence is valuable. And then with Venus retrograde here, it feels like there's a connecting in to this process that we're in. Again, Venus retrograde period is from July 22nd to September 3rd. So we're firmly in this Venusian introspection, evaluation, looking at relationships. So there's this connection here where the new moon brings in this this possibly an awakening or a new. The new moon is very connected to intuition and to sensing things. And so it's kind of like there might be an aha moment here, or where you're like, oh my gosh, I realize what's been going on here. And so whenever we have a new moon, it's great to give yourself extra time to rest and to chill and to go inward in any way that works for you. So whatever mindfulness practices that you have. Again, I know I said that about the full moon. The full moon, mindfulness is more about regulating our system so that we don't get overstimulated or dysregulated. So full moon might be a time where we do things that are more active, walking, swimming, etc., dancing, shaking. Whereas the new moon may be a time where you want to slow things down and you want to do more mindfulness practices that are slower paced, or where there's stillness involved, where you're going inward to connect with your inner wisdom. That's really the new moon time. Okay, so what else is the sun doing? So the sun is also going to make a square to Jupiter on August 6th. And so this is connecting into our sense of expansion, our ability to learn new things and to have a new perspective on things. Jupiter is about social justice and inclusion, and also travel and learning from other cultures. So that's an aspect that's happening this month. On August 13th, the sun will conjunct Venus. So that marks the mid part, that we're midway through the Venus retrograde process. And when the sun and Venus come together, Venus is invisible. We cannot see Venus in the sky. And so we think of it as like Venus, the symbol of relationships, going down into the underworld. That's the mythology around Venus, Inanna, the goddess Inanna. There's this myth about her going down into the underworld and having this like really intense experience before coming back up. And so that's kind of what's happening with the sun and Venus here. Not to say necessarily that you'll have an intense experience, though you may. But this is usually a time where we're really going inward. It's like going into the heart of the matter and the heart of the thing, and where we're feeling our way through the dark, where we are going back into that womb space, that space of not knowing, that space of like, that space of regeneration in the darkness. Now, shortly after that, the sun will make a square to Uranus. And so that's on August 15th that the sun will square Uranus. And this is about surprises, something unexpectedly happening, and breaking free, new awarenesses. And that's an aspect that can feel very liberating. And there is a call for liberation there. So it kind of feels like there's this process where we're like really going into it and going deep with ourselves when the sun is conjunct Venus toward the 13th. And then after that, there's this liberation. There's this feeling of lightness afterwards. And then shortly after that, the sun will move into Virgo on August 23rd. So this is sort of, it felt important to track the path that the sun is taking here, because each of these aspects that it makes will inform our experience of the self with the capital S, of who we are and how we're moving through the world. And that ideally, so this is the goal with when we're working with sun energy. The goal here is to cultivate a sense of self-acceptance without inflating or disparaging ourselves or others, to feel like we are enough, like we are here and we're stable and we're good and we're wholesome, without having to bolster ourselves through external means, and then also without having to denigrate ourselves. And the same for others as well, doing that with other people, like comparing ourselves to others. And I say that to you as a person who is also working on that for a lifetime, probably. And that the sun is constantly going through these different, the different signs and connecting to different planets. And so we're constantly going through this process of becoming more aware and being awake about what's going on, and then going into the dark spaces and becoming unaware, becoming unconscious about things. And so it's, I want to emphasize that, because I think also with the sun, there's this idea that we can transcend to a final completion point, and then we're good, and then we're healed. We don't have to we don't have to heal ourselves anymore. And I think that healing is a lifelong process, and frankly I wouldn't have it any other way. I think it makes life interesting, and so we're always working this, and we're always like investigating what's going on. And so I hope that you found this helpful. Again, my name is Shauna McGrath, and I am a psychotherapist and astrologer. If you enjoy this and are interested in learning more or working with me, I would love to hear from you. You can find more info all about me on my website below. And I'm wishing you a really lovely Sun in Leo time, and sending lots of love, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.